Yes, but Michael, they still have 11 senators in the upper house. They are the go-to party for Labor to get anything through the Senate. Or do you take some heart? Do you think there's a lesson for the Greens to learn? What should they learn from this?
Andrew, they'll learn nothing. They're not capable of learning anything because they're ignoramuses, political ignoramuses. But look, the Greens have always been the watermelon party. That's how I used to describe them in the New South Wales Parliament. And they had a few tree huggers there, but they were being taken over by the old SPA, the old Socialist Party, the Moscow Line people. Look, what you said is absolutely right. Here you've got a party that supports the extermination of the state of Israel. It supports that through that idiotic slogan that they keep mouthing off, but at the same time opposes nuclear energy, yet claims to support some sort of climate crisis solution. They're hypocrites. Adam Band, I don't care. He'll end up in Monash teaching politics, to indoctrinate the next bunch of young people to the nonsense that comes out of our universities. The Greens have always appealed to a small section of the young people and also the credentialed fools that come out of our university. So good riddance. I hope it happens in the Senate. It won't. Labor should be able to negotiate with some of the other senators to try and get through their legislation. A lot of it we don't want it to get through, of course, Andrew.
Yes, I'd like to think they were punished for being too extreme, too anti-Israel. That would be right. That would be the moral thing to do. But I fear that a lot of the young vote simply went for the cash, voted Labor to get the thousands of dollars of handouts for a cut in their student loans. I mean, it's as simple as that. The most insanely stupid welfare policy put to this election, $16 billion flushed down the drain, straight bribe to privileged people. Another blow to climate catastrophists, though, I have to say, Cameron, Liberal Tim Wilson has won back his Melbourne seat of Goldstone. He held it before, lost it to Teal MP Zoe Daniels, and now taken it back off her. He's the first Liberal to win back a seat from an independent and the first to defeat a sitting Teal MP. Here he is.
To be given that privilege once again is something that is almost unbelievable. I also want to thank particularly the people who never gave up on me.
What does this teach the Liberals?
Well, it teaches that they shouldn't be fearful of the Teals. The Teals are beatable, and the Teals are beatable on basic core Liberal values. And I think Amelia Hamer's going to win against Monique Ryan, which would be another fantastic win to knock Monique Ryan off. I think we're going to the Liberals will hold on to Bradfield as well. And Dan Tehan saw them out in Wannon. So the Liberals actually finally worked out how to deal with these Teals. Labor, on the other hand, has got Fremantle on the wire, Bean on the wire. Franklin looked terrible. So the Teals and the Climate 200 people are coming after safe Labor seats as well, Andrew. And Labor doesn't have an answer on that. The Liberals, I think, have found an answer for how they deal with the Teals in their seats, at least. And good luck to Tim Wilson. I back him as an MP. I think he's hard in it. He's worked really hard. And he deserves the win against Zoe Daniels, especially.
How do you read this, Michael? There we've got the Liberals seeing off some of the Teal challenge for this election. Does that mean their election campaign was skewed to winning back the Teal seats at the cost of the rest of the country virtually? Or does it mean that people like Tim Wilson, who actually fought for nuclear power and all that, argued very much strongly for it, very passionate, did he personally have the touch here? What is the lesson?
Well, I think he had the touch personally. Look, the Liberals campaign, and I know many people are saying this now, but we did say it on your program over many months. I think we were the first to predict how bad this, Cameron and I, this campaign was. I mean, look, you
very
had a
true,
campaign.
Michael, very true.
That is true. In rugby league terms, this was like reserve grade playing the under-16s in terms of campaigning, and I say reserve grades because the Labor Party wasn't very good anyhow. It's just they were up against a terrible campaign. And I think the Liberals have got to realise that you've got to stick to your values. And I worry about this leadership election that's coming up. If they think the lesson of this is to move back to the so-called centre and elect somebody from New South Wales that's from the moderate faction, well, they're kidding themselves. They'll have no chance of winning any of those seats back. The problem was the prosecution was bad. Unfortunately, Angus Taylor, didn't prosecute the economic case at all. The backflips were appalling, showed how incompetent they were. And really, that's the real lesson here. If you run a proper professional campaign, focus on principled policies and do the hard work. They didn't do the hard work, Andrew. No policies, pulling them out of the bottom drawer, the day before the media conference. It was a disaster.
I totally agree. But speaking of that, we're talking more about that with Rowan Dean, this ridiculous claim that the Liberals were too much to the right and have to now tack back to the centre. I didn't see that much that was right-wing about them in the first place. They're now brawling over who will lead them since Peter Dutton lost his seat. Now, this poor bloke, by the way, was snapped in at Canberra Airport today, no doubt coming back to town to clear out his office and get out of politics and stop talking to pesky journalists. Here he is.
It must feel good knowing you're returning to Canberra, but you don't have to endure another cold winter.
Well, I've been very appreciative for the support and all the good wishes, and I'm very grateful for that, so thank you.
Who would you like to be the next leader of the Liberal Party?
I've spoken to my colleagues, and the Liberal Party rebuilds from here, and that's as it should be. So the best model I've seen is where leaders, make a graceful exit from politics and maintain their graceful silence.
But Cameron, the dirt is now flying between people trying to be a successor, Conservative Angus Taylor and Susan Lee, the Liberals' deputy leader, backed by the Liberal left. Lee supporters say Taylor's economic policies at this election were terrible. Taylor supporters are putting out a list of Lee's failures, almost no policies of her own, not speaking out against policies as Liberal deputy leader that she now blames for the defeat, and so on. Which of the above should be the next leader?
Well, none of the above. I mean, Susan Lay's idea of doing the numbers is consulting her numerologist. I mean, she's a nutter. Angus Taylor didn't do the work. I mean, he's a dilettante. No, look, I think the Liberals have got to search beyond the obvious people who are culpable for this campaign, culpable for letting Peter Dutton down. And there's Dan Tehan, who saw off the Teals and is a solid centrist. There's also Tim Wilson, who actually showed the Liberal Party how to actually win back seats. So I think the Liberals have got to search further than the blindingly obvious, because they will just be a gift to Albo to win a third term if it's Taylor or Lay.
What's your call there, Michael?
Well, I can guarantee you if they put Susan Ley in, they will get a third term because, she brings with her that notion that somehow you've got to tack to the centre rather than, tack to your values. That is the worst position. Look, I don't think the next Liberal Prime Minister's in the Parliament at the moment, is my view. They're probably, I'm totally in agreement with Cameron on this. Taylor didn't do the work. He's lazy, and a lot of that is shown up in the result. I think he's probably the best choice as a holding leader until the next election, and hopefully they can get somebody in then, because I just think, they're in crisis mode and they're seeking to analyse the problem in the way they always do, which is to blame the other faction for the policy failures rather than the fact that they weren't consistent and they're all lazy. The word dilettante is the word that applies to the whole party.
Honestly, I'm just wondering, Cameron, whether the Liberals should be contemplating, I don't know how you can do it, but what Canada did, where they dumped the ruling party there, the Liberals dumped their leader, Trudeau, who was just hopeless, and chose the former governor of the Bank of England or whatever it was as his successor outside Parliament, who then went on to lead them to victory at the next election. Is that a possibility?
And if you look, it is, and it worked for the LNP in Queensland with Campbell Newman very successfully as well, and they wiped the floor.
Oh yes.
The obvious choice, if that's the case, is Josh Frydenberg. If Josh can actually be drafted to lead the Liberal Party, I think he would actually be the obvious choice, who's not someone who's currently in Parliament, but clearly got leadership ambition and talent, extreme talent.
Right.
Yeah, except, of course, those who did win their seats at this election did so with such hard graft that good luck trying to prize their seat out of their hands. Michael Costa, Cameron Milner.
It would have to be a different seat, that's right.
Both.